the depths of just African culture. Like we spoke Yoruba, predominantly white, or I would say American charter school. Sometimes it felt superficial because I had to act a certain way around certain people. I struggled with a bunch of like depression and anxiety or whatnot. And I remember, I kid you not, one of them were like, "Is your God gonna come down and spite me?" And I was like, "Oh, that's not drunkenness is a sin, and that's not my words, that's the Lord's words. It's in the Bible, so I don't come for me for that." Praying a prayer, and I was like, "Lord, like I know you don't want me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway." Oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Gardening Podcast. I'm your host, Temi Adebile, and I'm so excited to have you guys here with me. Whether you're listening online, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even YouTube, I'm so happy that you guys decided to click on this video or click on this podcast and just listen. Thank you all so much for being here. I can't believe this is so crazy. I just can't believe this is happening. Honestly, all glory to God. I have my phone here with me if you're watching me. Obviously, if you're not watching me, you can't see this, but I have my phone with me just so I can stay a little bit organized with what I want to be sharing about today. So first of all, the Gardening Podcast, what is this? What is podcast? This is a faith-based podcast, and I'm just going to be sharing about everything, all faith, all Christianity, all Jesus, a lot of lifestyle things as well too. We're going to be talking about a lot of nice and lighthearted, easy things, and then there are going to be some things that are kind of hard, some things that aren't very fun to talk about because they're serious, and that's okay, because even in those things and in those times we can find those things beautiful as well too. And so that's kind of where the shears come in with gardening, where it's time for the pruning and for the harsh things we got to talk about and we'll deal with. And so this podcast is based off of 1 Corinthians 3:6. I have my Bible here right here with me. Let's just read it straight up from the Bible, just so you guys know I'm not lying to y'all. So 1 Corinthians 3:6, it says, "I planted," aka I being Paul. So Paul planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. And so the whole entire mission of this podcast is simply just to plant seeds and to allow the Lord to just give it the growth. So this isn't something that I just want to do to take credit for myself, but I'm doing this all for the glory of the Lord. And so before we get started, let's get started with a question of the day. So here's a question. Do you prefer matcha or coffee? And with whatever it is, what is your order? If you're on YouTube and you're watching on YouTube, comment down below in the comments, let me know. And if you're not watching on YouTube, then go to our Instagram, follow us on there at the Gardening Podcast, and send me a DM, because I still want to know. I want to know all these orders, what if I'm going to be trying something new anytime soon. So for me, I would say I drink coffee a lot more often than I do drink matcha, only because with coffee, I get the caffeine faster, and that's really what I'm drinking it for. But I do love matcha. I love an amazing strawberry matcha. There's this one time we went to Houston, and Presley, if you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We went to Houston, we went to this boba shop, and Presley and I got this strawberry matcha, and we're thinking it's going to be amazing, great, as it should be. And it was not. It was terrible. It was like sour, and it was just not good. And so, but there is so many better options with matcha. But even with that, actually, no, I think I disagree with that. I love strawberry matcha so much, but I would just get it from a different place. Luckily, I live in Dallas, so Dallas is better. But regardless of that, I love strawberry matcha. If I'm getting coffee at Starbucks, I would do like a brown sugar shaken espresso. And then at home, Kelsey, my friend, recently just made me this like homemade brown sugar syrup, and it is amazing. So Kelsey, if you're watching, thank you so much for that, because that was amazing. And if you follow me on Instagram at Temi Natural, you'll see that whole coffee tutorial video that I posted on there. It was a reel. Go watch it. It's just good. It's just good. We love good drinks, love good coffee. We love all the things. But we're just going to go ahead and get started. Let's get started with this episode. So today, this is episode 1, season 1 of the Gardening Podcast. And I thought, why not start off with sharing my testimony? Only because, if you're going to be here listening, I just feel like it makes it more personable if you know who you're talking to, and if you know, who you're dealing with on the other side of the screen or whatnot. And so I just want to tell you guys my story. And this is nerve-wracking, specifically for the people who know me in real life, because you really only know what I let you see. But with starting this is taking a lot of boldness in a way, because I have to be open and vulnerable, which I don't really mind doing, but I think it's just scary to have people know the real you and not the you that you let them see, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I'm a little nervous. So go easy on me. Go easy on me. But yeah, let's just get straight up into it. So, as I said before, my name is Temi Adibile. I am Nigerian, but I was born and raised in Texas. However, my parents were born in Nigeria. They were born and raised in Nigeria. When they got married, a pastor had come to them and they prophesied over them and was like, hey, you're going to be going to the States at one day. And my parents were probably kind of just like, what are you talking about? Like, there's just no way we can go to the States. Like, we don't have the money, we don't have green cards, whatnot, right? And this is obviously just like the polished version of this story, not like all the details. But basically what happened was there is this lottery that goes on in Africa, like a green card lottery thing. My parents ended up winning that lottery. And with that, they were given green cards. And so they were able to come to the States. However, my older brother, love him dearly. To me, for listening, love you so much. He was born in Africa, however, though, just because of I just like the time frames of how it worked out and whatnot. But he was probably not even like a full year old. So basically, we're all from Texas. So they came to the States, and that's kind of how it started. And that's kind of where my whole story begins because at home and at church, it was all like African culture, like the depths of just African culture. Like we spoke Yoruba at home, my grandma being at home. She was the one who taught it to me. At my church, it was like an African Baptist church, and so that's what I was used to. However, I went to predominantly white, or I would say American, charter school. And so you can only imagine like the difference of like cultures in that. And so like at school, I'd be surrounded by American culture, but then at home, it's all African culture. And so for me, I was kind of caught between the middle because I didn't know really where I fit in that picture. So it's like at home, really, I wasn't African enough because of I would say because of the impact of going to American school had on me. So at home, it's like I wasn't African enough around certain people, around my church people and whatnot. Like I wasn't super African, but then at school, I wasn't really American enough either. And so that kind of left me in like a gray area. And obviously being a Black girl, if you're not a certain way, or I guess a stereotypical Black girl per se, quote unquote, then like for me, I was called whitewashed like my whole life. I honestly probably still am called whitewashed. And for the longest time, that was my identity. That was who I was. Like I remember literally walking up to people and be like, hey, like I'm Temi, da da da. And obviously they would look at me. They'd be like, oh, da da da, like it's cool. We get to know each other. Where are you from? Oh, I'm Nigerian, I'm from Texas, but like I'm not your typical African or Black girl. Like I'm pretty whitewashed. Yeah, that's what I would say to people. Which honestly, looking back now, it's looking kind of crazy because I literally just took whatever it was that people like identified me as, and I took that and I ran with it. But I ran with it because in my mind, I think it was like, well, it's a lot more easier for me to like tell these people this before they come to that conclusion themselves and they call me that and I get hurt by being called that. So in a way, I kind of was like, well then I just won't be called it because I'll just let them know before they can call me it. And either way, I wasn't really proud of that identity, if I'm being honest, just because like I don't think that represents who I am truly. But that's just kind of how it was with life. And so all through that, like going through high school, I'm gonna fast forward to high school. Um, I had some friends, but then I think I realized that like I never really had true friends, or at least like super close friends. I would say that I had people that I walked around, or I guess people that I just walked past by like every day. Granted, you do come into school, and my school wasn't super huge either. But like I would say I had friends. So there were certain people that I had friends, but I think that they were like super close friends for a season. But with that, it was just I don't know. Sometimes it felt superficial because I had to act a certain way around certain people. And so though I went to more of an Americanized charter school, it's also kind of like international in a way. So we had much different cultures later on the years. And so in high school, that's when we got to see more of the different cultures. And so there was like African group of kids. We got Hispanics, we got white people, we got Indians, we literally got everything. We got everything. And so based on who I was with or who I was surrounded by, that kind of dictated like who I was or how I acted or how I spoke and all the things, blah, 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 blah. And so at a certain point, I would say maybe sophomore year, I decided to truly like walk in my relationship with the Lord. Now, I was raised in church, like born and raised in church. Like I always heard of God. I knew God. I got baptized pretty young. Now, I knew what I was doing when I was getting baptized. So it wasn't like I didn't know. I definitely knew. I was very aware. I feel like from a younger age, I was always like very aware of everything that was going on, just like things in general. And I feel like because of that, I was always a lot more mature for my age. And that was a plus at times, but then other times it wasn't really a plus. It was honestly kind of sucky because I would suck in middle school. Like I didn't really know how to be a middle schooler fully because I always thought in a different way that other people around me were thinking. When I officially decided to like make my own faith my own, mean like I just want to walk with the Lord, at least take it more seriously. And sophomore year, I feel like I got a lot of backlash from that. Mainly just because like at my school people were mainly Christian or like at least knew the Lord, but we were never really actively following him, which is crazy because we would actually go to youth group all the time at my friends' churches and whatnot. But I don't know, I just felt like we weren't taking it as seriously as we could. And I feel like our excuse was like, oh, we're young and so we've got time. And at a certain point I was like, no, that's not enough for me. And I want to take it seriously. And so I was taking it seriously. And that in a way that kind of led to a bunch of loneliness. But it mainly, I felt the most lonely whenever COVID happened, when COVID hit. Because all the friends that I thought I had, I realized that I really didn't really have like true friends or whatnot. And so during COVID, I struggled with a bunch of like depression and anxiety or whatnot, mainly because of just like feeling alone and just not knowing who I was and just being lost in like the identity of like what culture I resonated with. And so I never really had anything to stand on, if that makes sense. And so the friends that I thought I had, they kind of just started drifting away. And so when COVID happened, I was like, choosing to walk in the Lord for real, like to make it my own. I told these friends. Now, these friends specifically, they were mainly like a whole group of guys, and these were like my middle school friends. I would say, I kind of fast forward a bit. Let's go back a bit. So when COVID hit, it was like the end of my middle school career, pretty much. And the friends that I had in middle school, they were great guys or whatnot, but like at the same time, like I would say we were all kind of worldly. But I was like that one girl who was in a big like friend group of just all guys. And so when COVID happened, we all kind of split up and whatnot just because, you're not around each other. I told them that I was choosing to follow the Lord, and they basically mocked me. I'm not even kidding. Like they basically mocked me. They were like, I don't even know. Like they were just making fun of me in a way of just like they asked me a lot of questions like why, or if they would say something or do something that hurt my feelings, I'd be like, hey, like that's kind of like hurtful. Or, like I feel like we shouldn't be doing that, as Christians, da da da. And I remember, I kid you not, one of them were like, is your God gonna come down and spite me? And I was like, oh, that's not. Yeah, so that was kind of weird, and that was kind of hurtful because I was like, dang, I thought these people were my friends, and during that time, I felt the Lord like telling me like, hey, you're gonna have to move on and move away from them. But for me, it's like, well, those are the only people that I had. Those are my only friends. So I didn't want to leave from that. But I was like, hey, you know what, Lord, if that's what you're calling me to do, then I'll do it. And so I did. And I have those friends. And you would think that things would get better because the Lord told me to do it. No. No, they did not get better. If anything, I was like, dang, okay, Lord, I gave up the only friends that I have. Now I'm more lonely, and now I actually don't have any friends at all. And so that was tough, and that only made my like anxiety and depression like only heighten even more. And I was like, Lord, I thought this was gonna like get better, and it wasn't. However, in due time it did. School opened back up, we get to high school, but then when high school started, like I wasn't really following the Lord until my sophomore year. So when I started my sophomore year and I decided to start following the Lord again and whatnot, yeah, I don't know, I think at that point I was just becoming more and more like self-aware of just like who I was, how I acted, people that I've hurt, people that hurt me. And so that was just super tough, super, super tough. Ultimately, like graduating high school, a lot of things kind of happened with like people that I was friends with, and I ended up kind of feeling like on my own as for like one person that was with me, and she was great, she was amazing. And so whenever I graduated, I got to college. And as a high schooler, like I was thinking, you know what? I just got to get out of high school. When I get to college, like college is going to be so much easier. It's going to be nicer. I'm going to just go find a church, make friends in the church, and then it'll all be great. Everything else will happen from there. Well, college came. Okay, college came all right. It wasn't really easy. It really wasn't. Because, first of all, my whole plan of finding friends in the church didn't really work out because the church is, at least for the young adults or the college ministry or whatnot, weren't even open until like college actually started. And so I had about like a month of time or a month of room before I was able to even like actually meet these people or meet the college ministry. And so that was kind of tough. And so waiting and waiting and waiting, I was in the dorms and whatnot. And I had some friends, had some people. And this isn't like, if y'all are listening, this isn't a dog on y'all at all or a hurt on y'all at all. This is just like my perspective of what's happening. Okay. This is my testimony. Okay. It's just my view. I was surrounded by a lot of like, I would say people who are mainly walking in the world. Okay. And that's just the reality of the situation. Like, I don't say that to offend anybody. That's just like the whole heart of it. And to be completely honest, like in a way I was prideful because I was like, oh wow, like I guess I'm better than these people because I don't do the things that they do. I don't do the activities that they do. And so like I'm better, like I'm following the Lord, I'm going to church and whatnot. And then so quickly the Lord humbled me and was like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And so I started doing things. I literally fell off of what I was doing and I started doing the exact same thing that other people were doing. So I was living in the world and doing all the things like, not saying that like going to a party is bad. However, drunkenness is a sin, and that's not my words. That's the Lord's words. It's in the Bible, so I don't come for me for that. But and so like I was doing all those things. I was really just living in the world, and I was like literally actively walking away from the Lord. I remember praying a prayer, and I was like, Lord, like I know you don't want me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And so and think about it. Looking back now, I'm just like, who did I think I was? Like the Lord could have easily like literally spite me then and there and just like been done with me and given up on me, but he didn't. And I'm here now, which is super cool. But still looking back, I'm just like, Lord, like every single time I remember that moment, I'm like, Lord, I'm so sorry that I was just so prideful. And I honestly, like, I was just hurt. And I think the Lord saw that. But ultimately, the Lord is a God who always gives second chances and open has his arms wide open waiting for you to come back. And so I was super grateful that that's who he was for me. And so it lasted like a few weeks of me living in the world, honestly, because ultimately like whenever you've tasted and seen the glory of the Lord, like you can't walk away from that. And so I ended up coming back to the Lord, and the Lord welcomed me back in. And not only did he welcome me back in, but he welcomed me with open arms and with opportunities as well too. And so at the church I was going to, the opportunity to lead an all-girls small group opened. And I was like, wait, like, okay, I'm only a college freshman. I feel like I shouldn't be leading yet. Like maybe I don't think I'm ready. If I didn't think I was ready based off of like the world's pace and the world's like timeline of doing things, but the Lord called me to do it. And he was like, no, I think you're ready. And so I did that along with the help with my partner, Jaylee, who's an amazing girl. Love her to this day. And so we started doing that. And then I was able to audition for the worship team as well. And so then I started leading worship as well with the team. And that has been a journey, and it still is a journey. And that's a whole different episode. But yeah, the Lord just opened up all these doors and all these opportunities to truly follow him even more. And with my identity, it's like I still wasn't 100% secure in who I was. But through the journey that the Lord's taking me through with like leading and putting me in these places that I didn't think I was qualified for. And at the end of the day, it's like, it didn't matter if I was African. It didn't matter if I was American. It didn't matter who I was. What mattered is the fact that the Lord called me to do it. And that's what made me who I am. And that's what makes me equipped. And so now it's like, okay, like, yes, looking at me, like, yes, I am Black. Looking at me, yes, I am African, right? However, who I am truly is simply a child of God. And I'm learning to be his daughter, and I'm walking in that every single day. And that is where my identity lies. Because when we place our identity and the things that the world tells us, or the things that the world tries to define us as, that shifts all the time. So we have so many trends going back and forth all the time. And so if you put your identity on those things and on those things, then you're constantly changing yourself as well too. But when you put your identity and who the Lord calls you to be and who the Lord says you are, that's what never changed, because the Lord is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen. Can I get an amen in chat? And so yeah, I was just walking in that, honestly, and just like walking in who I was and in the identity of simply just being a child of God. And that's just who I am. And to this day, that is what I'm working on. That is who I identify myself as. If you ask me, who am I? Hi, my name is Temi. Nice to meet you. I'm a child of God. What's up? And so I just want to encourage you guys to just learn to find and associate yourself with that and who you are. If you're a guy, okay, you're a son of the Lord. You're a son of the Lord. Like, you're a child of God still. We're all children of the Lord. And that's who our identity is in, because he is a God who never changes. And so when you put your identity in him, you don't change as far as you don't change as far as like a foundation. And I say that because when you're a child of God, that doesn't mean you're one way, because we are all wonderfully and fearfully made. We're all unique, right? We're all unique in our own ways, meaning you might be going through something that I haven't gone through or probably won't go through or would never understand. And that's okay. But we're all children of the Lord regardless, though. And that's who our foundation is in. And so I just want to encourage you guys to do that. And there are so many other aspects and so many other details as far as my testimony goes. But I'm hoping that as you guys stay here and stay tuned, that we can get to those topics and we can get to talk about all those things, whether that's like my experience with depression, anxiety, lust, all the things, whatever it is. But I hope you guys stay tuned, and I hope you guys just follow this journey that I am on, and that we can just walk on this and walk through this together with the Lord. And so thank you guys so much for listening. I do want to leave you guys with one thing though, however. So this is my testimony, right? However, John 5:11 says, and this is the testimony, that God gave us eternal life, and this life is in his Son, and that his Son is Jesus Christ. And that is the best testimony you will ever hear. The testimony of the Lord and of Jesus Christ. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, thank you for listening, by the way, if you're listening as well too. If you want to see me and see my face, well, come watch on YouTube, or just follow us on Instagram again at the Gardening Podcast, or you can even follow me specifically as well too at Temi Natural. Every single Monday, you'll be getting a new episode from the Gardening Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, and remember, roses have thorns too. And if you're wondering what that means, it means that the walk with the Lord is a beautiful journey, and it's beautiful roads. However, through that, there are some tough things going through that, and there are some tough trials you're going to go through. So roses are beautiful, but they have thorns also too. Your walk with the Lord is beautiful, but there might be some rough patches as well too. So when I end these podcasts saying roses have thorns too, that is what I mean. So go out and walk your walk with the Lord being a rose. Thanks, guys.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.